picked up 10 customers today, just referrals.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
people are afraid. They've always thought of IRS as this big bad monster that's going to snatch all of your things away from you because they've heard of stories of IRS seizing accounts or seizing properties or seizing vehicles or seizing whatever. Well, if you're I'm sorry, if you are not paying your taxes,
Right.
which is tax
Evading.
evasion,
You're right.
you have actually, to be honest with you, if you do not file your taxes in 3 consecutive years, you're tax evading
Mm,
and you could actually be brought up on charges. They
mm.
give you.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. So we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects today, and I'm going to bring you actually one of my clients. We're going to talk about taxes. Well, this is from the Nelson Nash's book, Become Your Own Banker, calls the Willie Sutton rules. Wherever wealth is accumulated, somebody will try to steal it. And this is Nelson, who's the biggest thief in the world. IRS. You might edit that one out. All right, so so Robyn, welcome to the Practical Wealth Show. Good to have you on. Robyn, welcome to the Practical Wealth Show. So tell about yourself a little bit. Give me the
Quick and dirty.
your origin story, your quick and dirty, emphasis on dirty. No, just kidding. All right, so
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
See,
great.
see, see, we're
It's great.
silly. We're
It's great to be here. It's great to be here. I love to share. My name is Robyn Smith-Haynes. I am a single mom of two beautiful girls who decided about 5 years ago to walk away from her marriage. And I needed to make sure that I had two incomes coming in. And I knew how to do taxes. I had been doing my friends' family's taxes for a few years. I got certified some time ago. And I said, well, it's a new start. Let me see if I can do this. And then comes the pandemic. So with that, it was like word of mouth got around, and everybody's like, well, if you can't go to the place where you normally get your taxes done, Robyn can do your taxes for you. And so I have two Bachelor of Science degrees in information technology. I am by trade a network analyst for county government in the IT department, but my small business is growing and it has shown me and a lot of my clients who mostly are small business owners or
hmm
they have some type of side hustle or gig work that they
hmm
do that it is possible to do your taxes properly and pay as less as possible because my philosophy is let's zero out your tax debt and maximize your refund.
We
Now
love that.
everybody doesn't get a refund.
Right.
Everybody's situation is different, but to the best of our ability, we want to make sure that you get what's due you, pay your part, your due
Don't you
part.
say it. Don't you say your fair share. All right. I'm gonna hit you.
And but the whole point is if everybody did pay something, it would balance out. We all know that our taxes were made for landholders and business owners. So
hmm
there are a lot of things that individuals who are just W-2 workers or earners can only take advantage of to a certain degree.
Right.
And as far as business owners and landholders, they have a lot more wiggle room, I should say, that they can take advantage of a lot of write-offs to zero out their tax debt.
hmm And so let's talk to the gig workers, the W-2ers. So tell them a little bit about, so like, let's go a little bit deeper into your credentialing, because I think that's
Mm-hmm.
important to
Well,
bring up.
I'm a
hmm
certified tax preparer.
hmm
I have been having my P10 since 2010. I hold the EFIN, which is electronic filing identification number, that I have my own software and I can actually package it and sell it, or I can
Mm-hmm.
either train people how to use it and they buy it from me.
Mm-hmm.
So they buy access from me, not the software.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the newest addition to the last 2 years of what I've been doing.
Okay.
And I think that people need to kind of understand IRS is not to be afraid of,
Mm.
regardless of anything. But if you're a W-2 worker, you want to make sure that your W-4, that's the form that you fill out when you first get a job,
Mm-hmm.
is filled out correctly, that you're paying what you need to pay. Um, I often
Let's
have,
talk. Let's go there because that's
okay.
I had this report 80%, according to the IRS, eighty
Hmm.
percent of employees W-4 is filled out incorrectly.
Correct. A lot of people don't realize, you're supposed to be paying about, depending on how much you make,
Mm-hmm.
about 20% of your salary to taxes. And that would cover tax, federal tax, state tax, uh, Medicare, and Social Security.
Okay. And how
The
do you
more you
know
make,
that?
the more you make,
Mm-hmm.
the more you pay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're making over $75,000, you should be paying about 30% to 35% in tax if you have a W-2 job.
That's not fun.
It's
Okay.
not. Well, the more you make, the more you should be, the higher you are up on the tax rate line.
Right.
So,
Right.
but that's just a base cut and dirty.
Mm-hmm.
It varies because when you're a W-2 worker, you work, they take all your stuff out at the end of the year, you get a W-2. You go to your tax preparer, you tell them if you have any dependents, do you own your house? These are the questions I just ask everybody on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what their answers are, will determine where they kind of fall.
Mm-hmm.
If they have no kids, well, hey, you're paying the highest tax out of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you need a LLC or some kind of gig work or something to kind of write off, your travel, your expenses, eating out, all those things that require you to spend money.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And you have a business, it can eliminate all of your tax debt, and anything you've paid in as a W-2 worker, you're entitled to getting all of that back.
So we call that strategy income shifting, right?
Yeah.
And so because you can take the so you got to fill out your W-4
Hmm.
correctly. Because I always
Correct.
tell people, how do you know if it's filled out wrong? You get a
Uh,
refund,
you get a refund.
right? That means
People,
you overpaid.
you've overpaid, and there's, because of some refundable tax credits. If you wouldn't have paid enough, the tax credits would have taken the place of the money you're getting back.
Mm-hmm.
So what you need to do is make sure, if you're single or head of household, make sure that's the line item you're filling out.
Mm-hmm.
The number of dependents, make sure you have that documented correctly.
Mm-hmm.
If there are additional dependents, for instance, I carry my mother. My mother's retirement age. She doesn't make anything but her pension, and I carry her to help with her medical expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, okay, well, I'm carrying three dependents plus myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm head of household, my three dependents. I have two minor dependents. And I don't know if you know, but the tax law has changed again. And the $3,600 you used to get during the pandemic, they've
Mm.
gone back to $2,000.
Okay.
So I get $2,000
Per what?
per child,
Okay.
per dependent, per under
Dependent. So
a
I've
per
got my
minor
kids
dependent.
are I only have one person under 18. So I'm only getting that
Okay, you only get
2,000
that one,
for
but
one, right?
you do have a dependent that's in college.
Yes.
If you still
Two,
carry them, okay, you still get the college deduction.
which is
When they're in college, they get a 1098-T, and
huh.
you put that on your taxes because you pay more than half of their living expenses.
For sure.
And I mean, I'm sure they have internet where they're living at,
Mm-hmm.
utilities,
Mm-hmm.
all of these things that you pay for,
Mm-hmm.
all of that inclusive on top of what you pay for as far as the 1098-T. And you
How
can get
about
up
their
to,
off-campus housing?
yes,
Oh my God. Okay.
I think each child you would probably get up to $2,500 if you haven't carried them for 4 whole years.
That's good to know. See, most half y'all understand. Like when I do these shows, it's free consulting for Curtis. Well, see, I better get your notepads out. And because inquiring minds wants to know. And I want to go back to something you said. We'll bounce all over the place, guys. So
that's fine.
The people fear the IRS, right?
Yes.
And so I had made notes. There's 3 reasons. This is from a book I have. And 3 reasons people fear that 3 reasons why people don't take the deductions that they should have. Okay. And because here's the thing. So this is the title of a book. Everybody thinks they're paying too much in tax, yet fewer than 10% do anything about it.
Right.
Okay. And the 3 reasons are fear of the IRS.
Yes.
Fear of the time it will take to keep detailed records.
Yes.
And not fully understanding which deductions are legal.
Yes. Those are absolutely correct. I've had several customers. I have expanded my business. I used to only do about 50, 60 tax returns a year. I'm over 275.
And going north, because we've talked about her business plan.
Absolutely. And I picked up 10 customers today, just referrals.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
People are afraid. They've always thought of IRS as this big bad monster that's going to snatch all of your things away from you, because they've heard of stories of IRS seizing accounts or seizing properties or seizing vehicles or seizing whatever. Well, if you're if you are not paying your taxes,
right,
which is tax evasion,
you're right.
You have actually, to be honest with you, if you do not file your taxes in 3 consecutive years, you're tax evading. And you could actually be brought up on charges. They give you 90 to 120 days to make it right. And if you don't, they can come after you and legal action will ensue. Because for every year you don't file, you're being penalized for penalties and interest daily, compounded daily.
Daily, right.
And
so the IRS understands opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Right?
And so that's why if you do file your tax, let's say you didn't file the last 3 years, and you say, okay, I'm going to get it together. The thing about documentation, we have too much technology right now for you not to have documented everything properly, or at least get a proper P&L, or at least go through your bank statements to see what you've spent and what you've earned. The second thing is, you're afraid of something being taken. Well, you're putting yourself in a predicament where you will be taken from IRS.
Right.
So if you every day from April 15th or 18th, it depends on when April 15th falls, you're getting penalized 1% or 1.5%. 1.5% for penalty and 1% for interest daily. So imagine 365 times 2, 365 times 3. Okay, so now it's a ticking time bomb. So the minute you file some taxes, you thinking, oh, I'm going to get $5,000 back. No, penalties and interest have hit. So now it's going to be reduced because you didn't file on time, or you didn't file an extension, or you didn't do what's necessary in order to get your things in order.
And this is if you have a job, okay, where you're paying in taxes. If you're in business and you ain't put nothing, no estimated nothing, that's a hurt piece right there. That's
it is.
So you need
and to. You actually had until January 15th to pay your 22 taxes, 4th quarter taxes. So if you're a business owner, you should be paying, if not monthly or quarterly taxes. That is January 15th. What is it? March? No. January, June 15th, September 15th, and I missed one.
January,
June. Oh, October. Yeah. So
your estimated payments.
Estimated payments. And the thing is, it's not as hard. You don't have to write a check and send it off anymore. You can set up your account, which is the account you have with IRS, where you can go get your transcripts and everything like that. It goes back a minimum of 7 years. And you can see and make your payments right then and there.
That's major. And so you help people do that kind of stuff though too, don't you?
I do. Yeah. Yes, I do.
Because I don't like do it yourself stuff anymore. I was like, listen, can you do this?
Well, you pay for the service. I'm gonna tell you what happened. The name of my company is All Aspects Tax Service, LLC. And I said all aspects because I found myself, the people that I knew, it was like, I don't feel like doing this. I had a truck driver. He was like, I don't have time to do all this. So he would download all of his bank statements, keep all of his receipts, and mail them to me or email them to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I charge him a separate fee to
Mm-hmm.
get his P&L together. And that is, it takes me about 2 days to really just go through it for each month, put it in a spreadsheet. Now I know what I'm working with as far as
Mm-hmm.
what he made, what he spent, or at least based on the receipts that he showed me and the bank
Mm-hmm.
statements that reconcile. And then I go ahead and I know what he's made. I file his taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I prepare his returns. So
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much I know his situation. He has one dependent. He does all of these deductions, and when we write off all of his expenses for his truck, he's getting some kind of refund back because he has a minor child.
There's a beautiful thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And
And I just did his taxes last night.
okay, so it's fresh in the mind. And
Yeah.
so that's the thing, guys. So, you've got to pay attention to this. Like, this is your number one expense. So at Practical Wealth, what we teach is there's 5 transfers of wealth, right? Wealthy rotors, like the one number, not number, well, in orders. So it's like how you pay a mortgage.
Right.
There's huge transfers in mortgage, how you handle mortgages. But I think the number one thing is taxes. Taxes,
Yes.
how you fund qualified plans, which also has to do with taxes.
Mm-hmm.
How you fund educational expenses, where
Mm-hmm.
it has kind of do with taxes also, because you think 529 plans are the way to go,
They're
and,
not.
and they're not. And then how you pay for big, major capital purchase. So it has to do with financing and transferring wealth away to the bank. That's what infinite bank is all about, mostly
Mm-hmm.
controlling the banking function. But, taxes are huge. And so if you're so one of the things, I have this book by Stanley Botkin called Lower Your Taxes Big Time. And the
Mm-hmm.
first chapter in the book, I got the newest edition, is chapter 1, why you would be brain dead to not start a home-based business if you don't already have one.
Because that's the main reason to write everything off. I mean, think about it. If you, like yourself, you have 3 daughters,
Your
your
daughters,
wife and yourself, family of 5. I'm sure y'all take vacations. I'm sure y'all go out to
we
eat.
take business
I'm,
trips. No,
I
yeah.
understand, but
Yeah,
I'm
right.
just
Yeah,
layman's
no.
terms.
No, we take vacations for
I
sure. That's
take
what I
my
live
kids.
for.
I take my kids out to eat. I'm always talking about taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly, marketing my business.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I come across people, we get started talking. Hey, how you doing? How we met this way, and I was like, well, what do you know? What do you know about taxes? It's like, I don't know. I said, well, I have a small tax business. Oh, really? And it piques their interest because
Right.
I don't know what your prior person, has done for you.
Right.
I had a lady call me today. She's like, the lady who did my taxes messed me up. Okay, send me your last 2 years of taxes. I'm gonna review them. You'll pay me. I'll see how I can do you an amendment and see where the issues lie. And then once we fix that, then we'll move on to your current year taxes. We'll
Mm-hmm.
probably have to do an extension because I've been trained how to look at taxes and to see what's necessary in order to make it right. Because all it is documenting what you've done over the last 12 months of that calendar year,
Mm-hmm.
from January 1 to December 31st, whatever big purchases you've made, any investments you've made. The biggest thing that gets most people is pulling out of their 401ks or pulling out of their investment that they should have been saving till they're 59.
Mm-hmm.
And that 20% kicks them. I had a lady, she was like, oh, she was going to get $10,000 back. She said, oh, I forgot this 1099K. I said, really? She sent it to me. She got back $1,200.
Mm-hmm. Because
So if
the
you
money comes out as ordinary income, so it's like adding new
correct,
money to your
the
bill.
whole the whole point is you're earning income.
Mm-hmm.
If you're pulling out the money you're supposed to be saving, it's earned
Right.
already. So
Mm-hmm.
you've got to the balance is pay the tax on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if you're gonna pull down some money from your 401k, let them take the tax out automatically. That
Mm-hmm.
helps you on your tax return because now you've paid that already,
Right.
plus whatever you've paid on your W-2 minus all your business expenses if you have a dependent, and it'll yield you some money in the end.
Yeah.
Not always,
Yeah.
but most times. Because I had somebody last year. This was the first for me. He didn't owe, and he didn't know them, and they didn't know him.
To
I had
me,
never
that's
had that
perfect.
before.
Yeah, that's
It
perfect.
is, and he paid his quarterly
Mm-hmm.
uh taxes, and when I added everything up and did all of the deductions, it was like zero. You owe nothing. He was happy, and I was like, okay, this is how I can
I'd be
go.
happy.
Well, the whole point is I practice tax avoidance, which
Right.
is looking through the tax code and figuring out whatever industry you're working in, as far
Mm-hmm.
as a W-2 worker, if you got kids, if they're in college, those are the areas where you can get the big chunks of refund.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you have a small business, all of the things you purchase, your office supplies, your space for your business, a file cabinet, if you use your vehicle, all of these things matter because they're deductions, they're write-offs. And if you have enough of the right kind of write-offs, it doesn't hurt you. So what you've paid, you zero out your tax debt because you've paid it in other areas. When I say zero out your tax debt, if you spent $1,000 a month at Staples or Office Depot or one of those places, that's $12,000 you've spent towards your business.
Right.
You zero that out of your write-offs of your tax debt.
Because
And tax debt
that's
is
reasonable and
that's a
necessary.
reasonable and
Right.
necessary, because that's how you have to always look at it.
Yeah.
Is it reasonable? Is it ordinary, reasonable, and necessary
For your business,
for
for
your
the
industry?
and see. So now let's go. So so my head's about to explode. There's so much stuff. This is very exciting to me, and because I wouldn't say had, but a lot of fear around that. And so
Mhm.
what happens is when you die, as your knowledge goes up, your anxiety comes down. So I'm always
Yes,
happy to talk about this stuff because it's like, it's a big mystery for a lot of people. They should teach this stuff in school. We're going to do a workshop together on this. We're going to do a webinar where we're going to go
absolutely.
over how to read a tax return, because even
Yes,
when you sign it, it's your job to know. But
right.
let's talk about, I'm going to go back to the home base, the gig workers, define a gig worker in your mind.
Anybody who works for Uber, DoorDash, Amazon Flex, if you have a consulting business, maybe you write grants on the side, maybe you do taxes. I
Right.
mean,
Or
those
network marketing
network
or
marketing
affiliate
or anything like
marketing.
that.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, like these are the type of write-offs you can do: your laptop, your cell phone service, office supplies, printer ink, printer, all of these different things. A Bluetooth for talking,
Right.
a,
Right.
a headset.
Right.
All of these things are related or correlates back to your business, and you need it for regular use. It is not
Your internet.
your internet. If you have a Wi-Fi hotspot, because I'm mobile, I
Mm-hmm.
have the service on my phone, which is an additional expense
Right.
for the hotspot. So I could literally turn my phone into a Wi-Fi service, connect my laptop, and I can do your taxes at your house.
Mm.
And that
Okay.
avoids me, opening up to fraud or anything like that, because I can do that in 30 minutes, get all your information, and move on. Now,
Right.
I've also, my mileage on my car.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get my car in my business's
The car
name.
you already have to drive if you
Yes,
weren't in business, right?
and that's and
Mm-hmm.
like one of the things that I did. I went from being a W-2 employee to a 1099 employee for my
Mm-hmm.
actual job,
Mm-hmm.
and I make more money, but all of my expenses have skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
I drive 50 miles one way to go to work,
Mm.
so that's 100 miles a day, five
Mm-hmm.
days a week. That's a lot of wear and tear and maintenance on my car.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your write-offs.
That's
And
right.
even if it's just a home-based business, there's space that you store the things that you need that relate directly to your business. If you have just 300 square feet of space that you utilize, a table, a file cabinet, a laptop, and internet, those are the things you can write off.
And see, so if you're like a high, let's say, a W-2 person, but especially if you're a higher compensated person, you really don't have a choice, right? You need
Right.
something, consulting,
If you
something
make a
because.
lot of
Mm-hmm.
money, if you make over $75,000 individually or $150,000 as a married couple, you've got to really have some type of extra business, consulting or something, some type of
Right.
LLC,
Mm-hmm.
to deduct a lot of those additional expenses. Because if not, you're going to be paying a third of your salary in taxes.
Right, because you're not, because there's two tax codes, right? So there's one
Right.
for employees or the uneducated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one for business, landowner and business we talked about, or people that
Correct.
know the game. And so because
Right.
I was having lunch with Tom Railroad one time and said, listen, the tax code is a stimulus program. And so the government, you want to partner with them and help them do what they need done. What do they need? Jobs,
Right.
they need food, they need
Mm-hmm.
energy, and they need housing, right?
Yes.
And so, but they don't know, like a corporation is a file cabinet in some state office somewhere. It's not like these tall buildings you see downtown. So if you have an
Right.
S Corp or a C Corp or, you know, that's, you can have that and have a home-based business and operate accordingly. Let's
Yes.
talk about I'm jumping all over the place. Let's talk about the documentation, because
Okay.
that's the scary part. Because see, what happens is people don't. I'll probably in the show notes a couple of tools that I'm using, because I am obsessed with easily documenting stuff, how to document, and so let's talk about some of the mistakes people make, and what would you have them do if they were come to you? Like, let's say it's January, so it's easy. It's
Mm-hmm.
January. Let's start the year out right and
Okay.
track your stuff.
Number one, I'm going to ask you, do you have a separate business checking account?
Mm-hmm.
If you do not, how have you been tracking your expenses for your business? I've made the mistake doing it the wrong way before. Now I know better. You should have a business checking account as well as a business credit card. Do not use them for personal reasons. The only reason you should be using for anything personal is if the business is reimbursing you for some expense that you've done or a trip or something, or you're loaning the business money. Those are the only types of transactions I should see between your business and your personal account.
Hmm. How would you document the business reimburse you if you use a personal credit card?
If
Let's
I
say you don't
happen
have
to,
enough business credit on your
okay, so you can loan the business $300, and if you go into Office Depot and spend $300, personally, you have the receipts, and you
mm-hmm,
write on the receipt $300 for business purposes, because you might not. Let's say you didn't, not even that you didn't have the card, you left it at home, but you needed
mm-hmm,
these items.
mm-hmm.
I can, if as long as you write on the receipt for business for the business, and then I can go back and say, oh, reimburse yourself that $300 from your business account.
Okay. So literally transfer it back out the business account to you personally.
Yes, but it has to match that receipt,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's your documentation. So when we
Okay.
go back and we do your P&L, your profit and loss statement,
Mm-hmm.
we know that there was a $300 transfer. It wasn't income. It wasn't a loan payment. It was reimbursements for office supplies, or reimbursements for the dinner last night, or
Mm-hmm.
reimbursements for the meeting.
All right.
You
So
get
now, so we got it. We
Mhm.
need a business, or at least a separate checking account. Even if
Yes,
you don't have that tax ID number yet, just
right.
separate
Just a
what I
separate
call
checking
trust
account.
estate, separate checking account that you use
Right.
for business. Um, and all right, so that's step one. Create separate accounts.
Yes.
What's another thing?
Another thing is document what you're doing. Okay, so I can't justify 5 laptops if it's just a single sole purpose business owner.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with these 5 laptops? Now, if you had to buy laptops to replace because the old ones are not compatible with everything, can you see me? Because I probably need to turn the light on. There we go.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So if you're replacing equipment because it's outdated
Mm-hmm.
or it doesn't have your security features that you need to
Mm-hmm.
keep, that is a justifiable expense.
Mm-hmm.
But just to be out the blue buying stuff, no, we're not gonna furnish $30,000 of your bedroom set. How do we relate that to your business?
Right. But
So
could you, this is my favorite question is how can I, right? But the
is it
if
ordinary?
well, yeah, so it's not ordinary, but if you're let's say, so everything, let's say I got a home office here, right? So everything in my home
Mm-hmm.
office is 100% adjustable, but
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that you can write off, like, so if you got a home business your house, and let's say I got landscapers, I've
Mm-hmm.
got different repairs, there's a percentage of that can get written off too, all the stuff
Those are
associated with your house.
contract laborers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a line item for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, if you're expanding your business, you've
Mm-hmm.
got to show justification. Maybe you picked up an additional contract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you're updating equipment, technology does cost. My
Mm-hmm.
software costs over $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm justified in that recurring expense.
What about utilities?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Like
You
my
get a
electric
portion,
bill, my as a
your electric
portion,
bill,
water
electric,
bill.
water,
Mm-hmm.
gas, internet. Internet is now a utility that is required because you cannot do electronic transfer or anything else without it.
What about Netflix? That's a utility. No.
Actually, it's not a utility.
Okay.
If you have uh, business meetings
Mm-hmm.
and you utilize that as a placeholder between business meetings, it's justified.
Okay. We forgot how to do that. And
It's a membership or subscription.
yeah, yeah. So we have tons of those. And so
Yes.
uh the magazines, the books you read, like business books and going to Barnes and Noble and getting
Hmm.
stuff. That's what did you put that on? I like
I
research and
would put that
development, personal.
personally. I
Mm-hmm.
can put it under training,
Mm-hmm.
or I would put it under research and development. That it
Mm-hmm.
depends on how many books you buy. But I would definitely put that under training and education.
And so the all networkers like going to your conferences, the travel,
Yes.
the hotel.
Travel, travel and lodging.
Mm-hmm.
Those are justifiable expenses,
Even if you
especially.
expand out your trip, like so we had I had a conference in Orlando,
Hmm.
and so at the Ritz, right? So now my wife loves
Was it
Orlando. So
4 days?
it was let me see, Thursday, 3 days.
3 days. Did you return Sunday or Monday?
We returned Sunday.
Okay. Usually they want you to return on Monday.
Huh.
You want you if
I
it's a
left
just a.
Thursday.
I understand.
Yeah, Thursday
Thursday,
morning. Thursday,
Friday,
Friday,
Saturday,
Saturday,
Sunday.
Sunday. That's four
Yeah.
days.
Usually, just to make sure it's not a weekend getaway,
Mm-hmm.
they want you to return on Monday, or at least check out the hotel on Monday.
Hmm.
But as far as travel, with travel being what it is right now,
Mm-hmm.
they don't look at it as much. But as long as you can justify that it correlated with the dates of a conference for training purposes, seminars,
Right.
memberships, it's
But I had to get to,
justifiable
like, for
expense.
example, I had to go. So my airfare, my wife's airfare, who's my
Hmm.
partner,
Hmm.
I flew my
Your
kids
kids,
in.
your
My
kids
kid,
work for your business.
they do work for my business. That's
You
right.
took a business trip and it was an annual meeting.
Yep.
That's
It
why it's
sure was.
justifiable.
How would you document an annual meeting?
If if you do the same type of trip at the same time every year,
Mm-hmm.
I would justify that as an annual meeting.
Okay.
If it's
Actually, I
if
do
it's
that.
3 out of 5 members of your organization, I
Mm-hmm.
would justify that as an annual meeting.
Okay. So y'all hearing this? So, like, you gotta get with somebody that can point this out. You gotta do your own homework because it's your money.
Right.
Okay. And learn how to ask better questions. But the power of that, you don't just have to sit here and take it. You got to put more money back in your pocket. You have to keep the whole of the goal is to keep more of what you make. Because if you can keep, because my goal is to help you save 15 to 20% of your gross income. All right.
Mhm.
And so if you can shift your income and let the government subsidize your new business so you can keep more of your money, that's money that you can save,
Yes.
right?
And
Into your infinite
actually,
banking system. But
a
yeah.
lot of people a lot of people don't realize this. Like, I offer a service, but my service is a tax write-off.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I charge the rate I charge because it varies by individual and whatever tax return.
Mm-hmm.
But I charge what I charge, and it's a significant deduction, or at least write off, for your taxes under your business,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's something that you might not ordinarily be able to do by yourself.
Right.
And I really hate that people go, I'm gonna do TurboTax, I'm gonna do Tax Act, I'm gonna do, you know, they only do the data entry. If
Right.
you do not know what to look for or how to write off certain things, you're going to get stuck. And I've had more customers call me in the last year, tell me, something's not right. I got to pay. I had a good friend of mine. She went to somebody else and got her taxes done. And they fleeced her out of about 1,100 bucks.
Mm.
And she still owed like 7 grand.
Wow.
And so she called me like just infuriated. I was like, calm down. It's going to be okay. She said, I'd rather pay you. I said, well, I get it. I said, let me look at it. I said, well, you did this. I remembered that she had gone out the country. And I was like, didn't you do this? And she said, yeah. I said, I don't see any evidence of any of your expenses. I don't see any of your write-offs. So let me go back and do it. I did it. I fixed, did an amendment,
Mm-hmm.
fixed everything that needed to be done. And she actually got a refund.
Mm. That's a beautiful
And it was
thing.
it was on something like the a refundable tax credit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, earned income tax credit, that's if you've made a certain amount and under. The low income kind of people do that, but everybody doesn't qualify for earned income tax credit. And you have a certain amount of
Nobody
time.
listening to my podcast qualifies for earned income credit. Okay.
That's okay, but they know people who may. They know people who may. And
Yes.
the other part to it is, as long as you have a business, you have something to write off because you've spent money every month
Right.
on things related to that business, on things related to what's necessary to write it off.
So you can document. You can find a
Yes,
program. Um,
you get bank statements for a reason.
right.
You can upload it in QuickBooks. Not that I'm a QuickBooks fanatic, but
Right.
a lot of times I got people that'll send me a spreadsheet from QuickBooks, or they'll send me just a spreadsheet with all their information in it, and it
You could
works out.
do, yeah, you could do, one of the things I'm starting to do is to create, or I've started a couple of years ago, I'll just what's it called? Dropbox or whatever. I
Yeah.
just create for the year 2023, and I go January, February, March, April, and I just keep folders, and then I'll either put the
Mm-hmm.
receipts in there, the trips, and now I'm starting to download the credit card statements and put them in
Yes.
there. If I pay
Mm-hmm.
a tax bill, just everything I would be deductible, license fees or paying for whatever. Because here's the thing: so when people do stuff like your receipts, so
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten, because you forget, so you'll forget the stuff I've bought in computers, and in February, March,
Mm-hmm.
$800, right? And forget about it by the time tax season comes. Then I bought this computer, I
Right.
bought 2 printers, and
Mm-hmm.
all the ink you buy, and all that stuff stands up. So you have to do it when you're doing it, not
Well, I tell people, for instance, you buy a new printer, I suggest getting the subscription, so where it monitors your ink usage and it'll
mm-hmm,
ship it to you, and you pay that little $20-$30
right,
out of pocket every month. Now we know how much you're spending. We
mm-hmm,
remember you bought a new computer. It'll tell you that. You can tell by the tax, I mean the bank statements.
mm-hmm. That's
So
right.
it's documentation is key. Once you document properly, you can create the P&L, the profit and loss statement. It shows exactly what you've spent, what you've made, and what you spent. And with taxes, you can claim a loss 3 consecutive out of 5 years
Mm-hmm,
of earnings.
mm-hmm,
Look at what Trump did.
mm-hmm.
And I mean,
I ain't mad at him either. It's like how my question is, how do I do that? So,
well, we'll get you there. We'll get you
right?
there, Curtis.
Will get me there. How do I do that?
And
And
so it's important that you know what you have, what you
yeah,
spent, and because a lot of people, this will tell you what your net worth is.
and it's more so than taxes, right? So you should be
Right.
looking at your P&L. I look at
Every
mine
month.
every week.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay, I'm like that, right? And so because
Okay.
I come from retail, right? So I had to
Gotcha.
really, we were in the bar business, so and it was a cash business, and I need to see my ratios between the liquor and beer to make sure, see how much, not make sure they weren't, how much they were stealing from me by overpouring or whatever. And so I
Mm-hmm.
know people that have coffee shop stuff. I said, when's the last time you look at your P&L? They ain't looked at their profit and loss for, here's how much came in, here's how much you spent, right? You need to know that because there's certain ratios. So more so for just taxes, it's so that
Mm-hmm.
you can, is your business working properly,
Correct.
but then you have to manage your cash flow. So it's all that kind of stuff. But then you want to, if you document it, you can keep more of your money in your pocket, then
Correct.
you're looking at your revenue and it's like, okay, I'm a sole proprietorship. People say, well, I'm an LLC. That's a sole proprietorship. Okay, you're still filing Schedule C, you're still paying self-employment tax. And once you
Mm-hmm.
start making money, $4,000 or $5,000 a month, give or take, now you should talk to Robyn about, hey, is it time to talk about doing keeping an LLC but filing it as a 1120 S corp?
Well, it depends. It
Go ahead.
depends.
Mm-hmm.
If you have payroll,
Mm-hmm.
if you get
We
to
got
the
to do
point,
payroll, right?
you've got to do
Got to
payroll.
do
So
payroll.
if
Uh-huh.
you're making if you're
See, if you're
making
not
30,
organized, you
you
don't
won't
do
know
that
that.
yet. Right.
But if you're making 30,000 or better,
Mm-hmm.
you might as well become an S corp.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that way you justify payroll. Now you're paying taxes on a regular basis. You're paying employees on a
Mm-hmm.
regular basis, and you qualify for the employee retention credit, which
Yes.
is twenty
Which we
six
help
thousand
people
dollars
with.
per person.
That's
There
right.
you go.
Well,
And
you
so
need to have been doing that
yes,
2020 and 2022. So if you have that, we've done a show
but
on
you
that.
can't file an amendment if you did not utilize it. If your tax preparer did not know how to do it, you
I
can't
don't
go
know how
back
to do
and
that.
file an.
Right. But you can call us and we'll help
Yes,
you.
absolutely. But yeah, it's important to kind of, a lot of people jump into business and they don't know
Right.
certain things.
Right.
They're like, oh, I learned it along the way. You need to talk to people. You need to get information, and it's about asset building. It's about making sure that you're not always in a liability category.
Right. Right. And so this is the stuff, guys, we talk about different stuff on our Saturday calls. So, as a
Yes.
matter of fact, so as we wind down, tell me a little, because you showed me this. It was like mind blowing because I don't know if I'm helping anybody when I do the
Uh-huh.
calls or do the podcast.
You are.
And
Okay. So shout
tell
out
them
to
how
folks.
wonderful I am. No, I'm just kidding.
You,
Yeah.
I was sent to you by Focus Jane. She told
Mm-hmm.
me to contact you, and I started listening to your Saturday morning shows,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw what I was doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't looking at money correctly. I wasn't looking at my business in the right way. Even though I know all this stuff about taxes, it was like kind of connecting the dots that I was missing. And so I started, and I was like getting excited, and I'm telling everybody about it. It's like, what are you doing on Saturday mornings? I'm listening to how to become the bank, how to make money and keep it, as opposed to just, giving it out everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so after about a month into listening every Saturday, I mean, I would travel and listen. I would be in another time zone and still listen. And it's like I was learning, because one of the other things that I did, after listening to your people talking about their Turo businesses, I put my car on Turo for a while, and I was
Mm-hmm.
literally making over 2 weekends my car note and my car insurance,
Wow.
just renting my car out. So
Mm-hmm.
that was another form of income that I had coming in. And after reading some of the books that you would suggest, and how to, get from that level to that level of FU,
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of clicked. And I started telling other people about it. And so then we got into the insurance. And it's like, okay, last year was the first year I made more money in one day than ever by doing tax extension.
Wow.
Everybody can't get their taxes done by March 15th for anybody that's a 1065
Mm-hmm.
filer, or by April 15th, which is everybody else. You
Mm-hmm.
can't file an extension. Well, I charge for my extensions because it's taking up my time. I've
Right.
got to estimate a few things in order to send that documentation off. And then that gives us a timeline until October 15th to file your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But you pay me to file that so you can have a little bit more time.
But
And
and so in the calls, I'm challenged you to make more money, charge more,
yes,
priority number one, always make money. Money,
and
what do we talk about? Money follows value, right?
yes, it
So when
does.
people say, I want to make more money, that's the wrong question. The question is, how can I create more value in the
Value,
marketplace? And
and I
money,
did that.
yeah. And
Because
so,
that in that one day, in 2 days, I made $15,000
wow.
just off of doing extensions. And people like, "Can you do my extension? Can you do my?" Yeah, I can do it. And I
Mm-hmm.
did everything that I needed to do in order to get everybody where they needed to be.
And,
And they came back, and I did their taxes.
right. And see, the lesson is, guys, you all have one of the lessons I want you to get from that is one, the power of community, of being around somewhere where they encourage you, where you can expand your own vision. Okay. So I'm always trying to get in better rooms. I always trying to be in the rooms where I'm the dumbest person there. And or at least in the middle where I'm there's people smarter than me, and then there's people. What I try to do is, like, so on Saturdays, a lot of times what I do is I learn stuff, I come back, I teach it, right?
Right.
Right. Immediately. I learn something that weekend, I'm gonna come back and try to teach it, because Jim Rohn said if you want to get good at something, you got to practice, study, and teach. right?
Right.
And so I want to have this tax conversation because I'm studying that. I had an advisor challenge me to print out like the 115 pages on how to do instructions from the IRS on how to do the tax return. I thought I wouldn't know how to do it, but I need to know how to read it as a financial
Well,
advisor.
okay.
And then give it to somebody like you. Like I don't want to do it, but I need to be conversant, right? And so
It's about seven things on a tax return that you really need to understand and know. And once you get that, and that's only 2 pages.
mm-hmm.
And so once you get to that point and you kind of clearly understand it, it becomes easier.
I
And
love it.
I learned it off of doing my own taxes. I learned last year that a lot of people, I don't look at that stuff. I just give it to you and I pay you and it's done. Oh my God. That's when I said, okay, I got to do a few more things to help my customers in order for them to understand. So at this point, I'm going to start like, you and I are going to train people how to look at their taxes, do a couple of
Yeah.
webinars.
Yeah.
And then, if they want the assistance and the expertise, they come to us.
Right. They still need to have somebody else do it, but
Yeah.
when you sign it, you're signing to say what's on there, right? So don't just,
Yes.
my accountant handles that. You need to be a little bit more proactive with that. And that's one of the messages of this year is we're going to systematically go through the wealth transfers. And this one being the number one to help you keep more of what you make on
And
the Practical
also,
Wealth Show. Mm-hmm.
and mind you, I'm a certified tax preparer. If
Mm-hmm.
I do anything wrong on your tax return, I get fined.
Mm.
That's $520. I'm not doing that.
Per mistake.
Per mistake.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
We're not doing that.
But I also will help you in case there's some problems or you get audited or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can help you with whatever I've done on your tax return.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't understand it, I can explain it. And it usually gets resolved. I've had a couple of customers that got audited due to a divorce or something, or they didn't claim something. And it's like, okay, we had this. And one lady, they ended up owing her money. We did everything
That's a beautiful
right,
thing, right?
and she got money back. And it's like we sat on the phone for about 2 hours, verified all the information. I clarified what I did and why. These were her business expenses. It's like, oh, okay. When they calculated, oh, we owe you some more money, and they sent her a check.
That's beautiful. And that's the thing. See, so what happens is audit is not a problem as long as you're not lying, right? And you document yourself. So, not lying, but really documentation is everything. So even if you get audited, if your stuff is tight, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And so make sure your stuff is tight. That's what I'm really working on for our business. The people that I touch is to make sure that, okay, listen, you want to don't be shy, like get the stuff that you're supposed to get. Just make sure was it reasonable,
ordinary and
necessary.
Yes.
And then document. And there's softwares, there's things like what's it called? Mile IQ that you can download. It's like $5 a month and it will,
and
it will track your mileage, your GPS. It'll hook up to your phone's GPS. That's the subscription.
That's a subscription.
And it'll tell you. It's like you get back, swipe left, swipe right, your personal business, and then all of a sudden they give you a nice clean report. Here's your mileage. And this year, and mileage is the worst way to do it.
Yeah.
Right. But even now, it's 63 cents a mile for your business mileage this year, this year, right? Yes. So 10,000 miles a year, business miles, $6,300 on a car you already got to drive. Okay.
There you go.
So if you're in Legal Shield or you're doing real estate and you got to go hither and thither, that's, you need to be, those are some of your biggest deductions that you have to, you can't just be, what's the word? Lackadaisical about that. You have to be, because it's really, you're costing yourself a lot of money by not paying attention to it.
Because I have to tell people, if you're not documenting everything, this is not a business, it's a hustle.
Right.
And I can't justify your hustle. But if you have a legitimate business, you're documenting your information, you can bring me some forms and give me the information so I can do your tax return. It's a justifiable business.
So you're not in business. You got to be in business. You saying, Philly, I'm a business man. And so that's fantastic. So Robyn, if they want to find out, they want to get in touch with you, they want to get a second look at what they're doing, how how can they follow what you're doing and reach out to you if they like talk to you about their situation?
I am on Facebook at All Aspects Tax Service. I am
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram at All Aspects Tax Service. I'm on TikTok at All Aspects Tax Service. And my phone number is 470-568-0677. Or you can email me at All Aspects Tax Service at yahoo.com.
All right. So, Robyn, thank you so much. This has been fun. And so keep it out because we're going to do a webinar on understanding the tax return. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just, it's just us talking because we've had this conversation before, just
Right.
us on the phone for like an hour, just so y'all just got to listen in. So yes, we bounced around a lot, but hopefully I know you got some value out of this. You need to go back and probably listen to this more than once and take
Mm-hmm.
some notes and, read a book. So I'm gonna give you what is the book I like? So I don't know if y'all can see this. So if you're on the video, Tax-Free Wealth. No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Lower Your Taxes Big Time. Very tactical, very detailed. Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright. So you need to understand not how to do them, but how to think about them and
Correct.
and knowing what you're doing because you're doing a lot of stuff that you could potentially help you, or some of y'all have businesses that you could or skills that could be a business.
Right.
And you ain't got to make $50,000 a year, but you do need to have to be trying to make a profit. I always tell people, look, if you
Yes.
get a business, even if you sign a network marketing business or something like that, if I was trying to convict you for the crime of having a business, would there be any evidence? Okay. And because you can't do it just to say I got a business and you don't do anything, you don't try to make any phone calls, you ain't got no business cards, you don't have nothing. No,
Right.
you have a hobby. Okay.
Correct.
And you might get away with it, but because if you're going to do
Only
it,
for a certain
trying
amount
to
of
make
time.
money. All of y'all need more money. Look, most bankruptcies could have been prevented with an extra $400 a month.
Yes.
Right. So make some money, keep more of what you make. Robyn, thank you so much for coming on the Practical Wealth Show. Guys,
anytime. Thank you, Curtis.
My pleasure. Good to have you. And guys, go out there, reach out to her. I think she can help you. I know she can help you. All right. She's helping a lot of my clients now. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.